Konstantin Kisin debated a feminist guest.
Binary is a Western concept. It's just not factually accurate.
She argued that culture wars exaggerated and rooted in conservative fear, but as the discussion continued, it revealed deep contradictions.
You're deflecting from the argument that I'm making.
It was all vague framing and emotional positioning that couldn't hold up under scrutiny.
In being offended or upset by something that I've said, you are then lashing out and trying to misrepresent me.
So let's break down where the argument cracked.
Why aren't you anti-woke?
Well, I think, what does woke mean to you? That's my question.
Well, all the very things that you said are the reason you wrote your book. The reason that people would say we're anti-woke, I'm certainly anti-woke, I have no issue describing it, is I'm anti the, oh, you used this wrong phrase, oh, you made fun of this thing that I don't like, oh, you're not sufficiently inclusive of this blah, 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 oh, you know, you're a man, you need to be quiet while other people talk, all of this stuff. I reject this entirely. I reject the identity politics of it. I reject the censorship aspect of it. I reject the obsession with victimhood, which I think is damaging and it's making people into victims. That's what I mean by woke, and that's what I'm against. So I
think the reason I would describe myself as not anti-woke is because I think what a lot of people mean by woke, and it's a soup, it's a rich soup. So you can take out certain things and go, that's woke. But I think a lot of people see it and go, well, woke is, you know, an idea about gender or an idea about feminism that I haven't fully explored. It just sounds new, or it just sounds, you know, like something that I don't have any particular knowledge of or empathy for. So that goes in the woke basket because it's new.
As an author and anchor of a feminism podcast, I expected Deborah Frances White to provide a direct response to Kisin's question on wokeness, but sadly she opens up with an argument that frames the issue simply as a concept people don't understand or empathize with. And I don't think you agree with that. This isn't just a new idea that is unknown to people. It's something that's been used to shut down discussion, get people fired, or dragged online for being insensitive to the desires of a hyper-vocal minority of society. And if you've ever felt like you can't say what you think without getting labeled, you already know. So wokeness is not a concept new to you and me. It's something that has affected us in many ways, but one. It's become a system where moral performance matters more than honest dialogue, and that's worth calling out.
What you just said there is if someone says they're a woman, you have to accept it. Is that?
Yeah, but that's been the line. Trans women are women.
Right.
And if you say otherwise, you're a bigot.
Okay. So what I'm arguing in my book is I am looking at the historical fight for two other sorts of rights that has happened. Here's an example. In the 1960s, Mary Tyler Moore had to fight really hard to be allowed to wear trousers on screen because people still double taking at women wearing trousers. When women first started wearing trousers, women were arrested in trousers. Orphan rights is something I've written about in the book. If you look at orphan rights, it's absolutely fascinating. Orphans were massive scapegoats in Victorian times.
Deborah made an interesting comparison between modern identity movements and earlier civil rights wins like marriage equality and adopted children's rights. Now, someone myself who is actually adopted, some might argue she has a valid point. But today's rights movements have gone beyond calls for equal treatment and instead push for the acceptance of ideas that challenge cultural and biological framework. It doesn't just become an ideology that we are given the choice to accept, but one that we must comply with to ensure we please a select group in society. Respecting human dignity shouldn't mean we pay less attention to the bigger picture, especially on sensitive issues that involve the future of the youth of our country. Honestly, this has gone beyond individual rights. Identity is no longer personal. It's become a political currency. If you've watched this far and are yet to subscribe, go ahead and tap that like button and subscribe. Now, Konstantin was done with Deborah by this point, and the way he responded, it's amazing.
The one thing that you will never reach people anywhere outside the hard left with is the idea that we want to build a fairer world for people from this community or this community or that community. If you want to reach people across a political spectrum, you should be talking about a fairer world for everybody. And this is the problem that the left has made over the last 10 years in particular, which is this obsession with identity. It's incredibly divisive because anyone who listens to what you've just said, what they will hear is, you want a better world for these subsets of the population. Okay, well, I'm not one of the subsets of these subsets for the population. What does that mean for me? And they might, I don't know, reasonably or unreasonably, assume from that what you want is to take something away from them and give it to these people. That's what it sounds like. And this divisiveness along racial lines, sexual lines, it's not going to bring people together. It's the reason I'm against identity politics is not because I want whatever my identity is to be well protected. It's because I know that when people disappear down these rabbit holes and only care about this group and this group and this group, that's when everybody suffers.
What Konstantin is pointing out isn't really about race, gender, or sexuality. It's how these labels have come to dominate every conversation. The sense that identity-first politics has replaced shared values with group guilt. It's not that people don't care about fairness, they're tired of the moral gaslighting. And the more people feel identity politics is dominating public debates, the less they want to engage because it makes people feel alienated, not empowered. If you are at all familiar with the civil rights movement, that worked because it spoke to shared values, justice, fairness, and equal dignity. But when a movement tries to impose its ideology on society, people stop caring. As Noah Harari said in Sapiens, humans thrive when they share stories that unite them. If all we do is divide ourselves into categories, we lose that unifying story, and eventually the whole thing breaks down.
Donald Trump was elected, effectively. Do you know what his most effective campaign ad was?
I think it was
the trans one.
It was the Carmelas for them, President Trump's feeling.
Donald Trump was elected because people...
That's propaganda. It is propaganda. Most people don't know a trans person.
Hold on a second.
Most people don't know a trans person. That was propaganda. That's exactly what I was saying before about the far religious right and Heritage Foundation and Project 25.
But most people in America reacted to that ad in a very powerful way, which is why it was the most powerful ad, right? The reason that it's happening, the reason that Donald Trump is in power, is that many, many people have had enough of this identity politics, have had enough of the obsession with victims, have had enough about all of this stuff that you are advocating for more of. And my point to you is, if you carry on doing what you've been doing, you're going to keep getting the results that you've been getting. It's as simple as that. Now, I don't like much of the overcorrection that we're about to experience. And I've been predicting for many years and opposing the woke left for this very reason, that this was inevitable.
You know, the reason populist movements have gained ground isn't some propaganda machine. It's that people feel ignored, judged, or shamed for simply not speaking the right way. The real argument being laid out here is that culture has drifted far too into ideology purity tests that is sparking a counterforce. Not because people are extreme, but because they're exhausted. And we've seen this before. Think about post-1960s America, where cultural liberalism gave way to Nixon's silent majority, or the rise of Thatcherism after the British left overreached. It's cynical when you push too hard, too fast, and without consensus, the pendulum always swings back. You look at the current rise of populist politics, Brexit, Trump's election win, and anti-woke protests. This isn't happening in a vacuum. It's a reaction. People are tired of being told that asking questions makes them bad. Even a Pew Research report as far back as 2020 found that most people in Western democracies feel like change is being forced on them by elite institutions, and that frustration has only grown worse. This isn't a defense of the overcorrection, but it is a warning because when you silence people for too long, they don't just go away, they push back hard. That's all from me on this debate, so if you're tired of biased takes without facts, this is your space. Hit like, drop your thoughts in the comments, and kindly subscribe if you haven't. I don't just react, I give you all the facts, and I've got more coming, so I'll see you in the next one.